Move this so that way you can see standing up.
Thanks.
The King High School Wolves and the Corona High School Panthers for Week 3 of the Spring 2021 high school football season. I am Nick Grice, and I'm joined alongside J.R. Ibarra. We will get to the implications, the details, and all the top players in this game today, but I think I speak to many people across the country that we're jazzed to have some high school football tonight and for the spring season.
Man, absolutely. I know this almost came as a last-minute surprise for us to have football in the spring, but at least we're getting in 5 weeks of football here, which is good. I know in talking to both head coaches tonight, this is almost like a super spring season. The kids are able to get in pads, they're able to face actual opponents, and at least get some game time under the belt.
Right. Well, J.R. Ibarra, we know you as to being not only one of the most educated folks here at Riverside TV, but you're also a note-taking extraordinaire, and you talk to both coaches. What would you say are the 1 or 2 players for each school we should look at for tonight's game?
With Corona, the Panthers bring in a pretty strong and decent offense. Yeah, they've been kind of racked with some issues related to the COVID situation. But with Coach Guringer, who gave us an insight tonight, he says to look out for his quarterback and his running back in Corian Coates. Coates is a senior. In fact, he even claimed that Coates is maybe the best running back in the entire league, and that's saying a lot when you're in the Big 8 league, because you're up against teams that are some of the best around the Inland Empire.
Well, we're just about ready to get Week 3 of spring high school football started. Both clubs come in 0-2. One of these teams are going to win their first game of the season tonight, and the opening squib kick is out of bounds. That should be a penalty on King. The Wolves and the Panthers, a rematch of last year's thriller won by King 7-6. As King High School took a third-quarter lead before Corona scored on a Danny Perez 31-yard rushing touchdown, but then they miss the extra point and lose the game by 1. We talked to head coach Martinez prior to the game, and he talked about there being some dramatics down the stretch of that game last year.
It was a pretty tight game. I know it's in the memory from both of these head coaches and both of these offensive squads, so there's a lot on the line tonight. Even though these two teams come in at 0-2, they are much better than what it looks like on paper. Keep in mind, as we partially mentioned so far, these two teams come from the Big 8 League, which includes the likes of Corona Centennial and Norco, two of the biggest programs in the Inland Empire.
Along with Roosevelt, which was the opponent last week for King High School. Corona is dressed up in the white to begin the ball game. The Panthers and the Wolves. It's a quick screen pass on the first play of the ball game. And near a first down to Austin Butler of Corona.
Butler is kind of a usual target because he's tall, so he's kind of easy to find for sure. Looks like we're in a hurry-up mode as well.
Well, we talked to both coaches prior to the game, and the big staple of both of these teams is not just the talent that was changed up front, but we spoke to King High School, Rich Martinez, prior to the game. He spoke about the strength up front of the three the three-down linemen he has versus Corona and their struggles in terms of COVID up front. It should be an interesting matchup today between Corona, who has a depleted offensive line, and that stacked defensive front.
Yeah,
King.
it's been interesting. We talked to Coach Geringer before the game, the coach from Corona, and he mentioned how much COVID has really affected his squad this year, and really for both and for any program. And it's been hard and really difficult for the coaches to get this up and running.
After a neutral zone infraction, Butler, the Corona quarterback, finds his man on the left flat. Appears to be Maldonado, if I'm not mistaken. Jacob Zamorano, not my apologies, for a couple yards as we're just getting things started here tonight. Nick Rice and J.R. Ibarra. As mentioned, King last year and Corona, it was a thrilling game, won by King 7-6 in last year's league season. That was back, in fact, in 2019. We'll get to it in a moment. Both coaches had a very interesting offseason in preparation for the year, courtesy of coronavirus and whether or not they'd even have a year at all.
Yeah, it like we were mentioning, it's been such a challenge for any program around the Inland Empire to get themselves back up and running in this very abbreviated season. But at least we got some football going on here in the spring.
Yeah. Third down on a long three, speed option, and Butler tosses. It's juggled from the Panther running back, and it appears King has got it. Indeed, they do.
Boy, penalties and turnovers are going to be a key factor tonight, and we just saw that. Unfortunately, it was just not a really good pitch.
And Jack McPherson, as mentioned, recovers. Well, the Wolves defense, as mentioned, has a lineup that returns almost all their starters from last season, 2019, and they make a big play on the opening drive of the ball game. 2 minutes in, and after a Corona first down, a Christian Butler fumble leads to a critical turnover on Corona. The Wolves, JR, you were there last week, are coming off a narrow loss to Roosevelt.
It was a very close game. In fact, the Wolves looked very impressive in the first quarter, although we got a little bit of an issue, and it looks like we have another turnover.
Yeah, muff snap
my God.
by King, and the Panthers scoop it up.
Wow, that's not a good way to start off an offensive series, and unfortunately this was kind of the Achilles heel last week for King. They had some turnovers at really poor opportune times, and that kind of made the difference in their loss last weekend.
Now, due to this being a spring season, some of the players whose names we bring up, they may not be the actual players who recover the ball. We receive max preps rosters, so we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, there's some issues in the roster tonight, so we will try to correct ourselves as the night progresses.
Right.
I think we got movement, and we have movement so far in the line here.
Yeah, Zabir's Logan Waits, number 3, jumped early for the Panthers. Now I guess it would be a good time as any. You probably are going to see more false starts and these type of mistakes in spring football this year.
Yeah, you know, the teams are still kind of getting themselves up and running. They did not have a preseason. They immediately jump into league play, and there's still some kinks to work out in order to be proficient in doing things offensively and defensively.
Sun is just beginning to set after the Panthers commit their second flag of the ball game. Both teams start the game with an opening drive turnover. Christian Butler out of the pistol. He hands. And King's Nolan Reynolds, their star nose guard, makes the stop of the Coats handoff. He was somewhat questionable for this game tonight, the star running back of Corona, but is a full go here in the first quarter for the Panthers. And Ron Geringer.
Yeah, we had a great conversation with Coach G. He has a lot of experience here in the Inland Empire, having coached at San Gorgonio. In fact, he started things off in his career at Corona Centennial.
And he made his full circle around the Big 8 League, and it's just a different ball game when you talk about Corona and the recruiting trail that is. Butler takes off on 2nd down and long and is tripped up just across the 40-yard line.
Kind of a wise decision. He saw nothing open, decided to tuck it underneath the arm and at least pick up about almost 5 yards on the play.
Well, usually recruiting trail and high school football don't go together, but star Corona running back Corian Coates is a Texas kid, according to his coach.
That's pretty interesting to have to come from really some very elite play in Texas. Not saying Southern California play is bad.
No.
But it does bring a level of experience that maybe some of the other kids have not seen.
And it certainly has bode well throughout what is otherwise a tough 2-game stretch for the Panthers. 3rd down and 6. Butler on the speed option. Fakes the pitch to Coates, takes it himself, and is hammered by Reynolds, but falls forward and picks up the Corona first down.
I think he got it.
What a play by Corona's Christian Butler, 6'1", 215 pounds, moving the legs on that 3rd down run.
Coach Guringer did mention that, boy, he is a player. He takes control of the game, and we see it right hand with that, picking up that extra yardage to grab that first down for the Panthers.
Well, it's not very often that a defensive lineman garners praise from a head coach, but Rich Martinez spoke ad nauseum about the excellence of his D-line, led by nose guard number 55, Nolan Reynolds. He has been involved in the last couple of plays. Coates races to the outside, and Reynolds brings him down after a gain of 5.
Nice.
Number 55, there he is, biggest player on both schools active tonight, and is the biggest difference maker for this defense right now.
For sure.
What are your thoughts early about that King defensive front overall?
It is a pretty sizable front line that they have to deal with.
And it's led by Reynolds. According to Max Preps, he stands at 6'5", but according to his coach, he's 6'7".
Yeah, I think that's more of an accurate number to me.
Right, I might take the coach on that one.
Yeah, I think I would believe the coach on that speculation.
Butler hands to Coates on the inside. And he is spilled up front. Number 32, Chase Shackelford, 5'11" linebacker, a junior on that King roster, makes the stop after a gain of 2.
So far, a pretty decent drive here, Nick. I know last weekend King started off the first quarter with a great drive. In fact, they chewed up 9 minutes on the game clock.
Wow.
In their first drive offensively. Obviously tonight that fumble just did not go according to plan here.
Well, Corona did not score their first points and only points of the game on a Danny Perez touchdown until the 4th quarter against this school last year, but here they're just outside field goal range. Butler keeps it himself, and yet another 3rd down conversion is made by the visiting Panthers as he is taken down by Arenas after a gain of 6.
Boy, it's really we got a player down on the field right now.
Daniel
Alcantar.
Alcantar.
In fact, that could be a huge loss. Alcantar is one of their wide receivers and is one of their best receivers on the squad. To lose Daniel would be really detrimental to tonight's ball game.
Certainly a huge loss. So for those of you just joining us, we might as well speak about these two schools in general, King and Corona. And you were there last week at the King game. What were your thoughts a little bit farther of that matchup against Roosevelt, won by King, or rather Roosevelt 21-18?
I thought King put up a really good fight in that particular contest, and so that's why tonight I'm really kind of expecting them to show a nice mix. One thing you're going to see, and we haven't had a chance to see them offensively yet, is you're going to see a lot of misdirections on the run. You're going to see a lot of different sets in the backfield. There's a really nice mix that Coach Martinez gives to his offense that kind of keeps the defense off balance.
King is dressed up in the blue and white tonight, Corona in the white and red. Meanwhile, for the Panthers, they join the Wolves, who have started the season 0-2. I guess the spring season is a little bit different because there is no playoffs on the line. But what are the thoughts of a school that starts 0-2 this early?
And we kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, Nick. When you're in a league like the Big 8, being 0-2 is not always that surprising.
Right.
Because of the impact of those big bruisers at Corona Centennial and Norco. But nonetheless, as we also kind of mentioned, this is a great opportunity for these kids, even though it's 5 games, 5 weeks. This is a chance to springboard into this coming fall.
Yeah.
And I think I was mentioning this to Jeff Gorham last week. I think this is going to be very beneficial for all programs in the Inland Empire.
Oh,
the
yeah.
fact that they've been able to get in 5 weeks of really intense spring training, if you will.
Well, it wasn't just 5 weeks for King High School head coach Rich Martinez in the offseason preparation.
Correct.
He spoke to us that their preparation started in October.
Yes. And unfortunately, because of COVID, they had to do so many things from a distance.
Yeah.
They essentially had to get their weight training and their conditioning done through the instruction that was being done on Instagram, believe it or not.
Wow.
So the use of social media, and we see Alcantar getting up, and boy, that doesn't look very promising.
Yeah,
for
that
him
certainly
staying in
looks...
this football game. So this is really a big loss here for Corona.
And I'm sure in that sort of situation, the coach probably wouldn't take any serious risk in a season like this with no playoffs.
Correct.
But we spoke to both head coaches, and albeit the challenging offseason, this is also a different challenge because, I mean, these coaches almost want to bring in more players onto the field to give them a chance to prove themselves for the fall.
Right. You know, this is a great opportunity. I know Coach G was telling us earlier that he wants to give his players as much reps as possible. And that's just going to be a benefit for everybody on the squad. Obviously, trying to go to CAF is not in their mindset. It's all about really kind of springboarding for the fall, this coming fall.
And right now, as you can see, we have a somewhat capacity crowd, a cap on this one.
That's nice to see fans in the stands.
But yes, and some crowd noise and some folks to talk to prior to the game is pretty cool. Butler takes off and the quarterback picks up 3. We spoke to Corona head coach Ron Gehringer before the game, and he emphasized that this is a running football team.
Yeah, it is. It's a pretty young team. They lost kids because of Corona. Unfortunately, they were not able to participate because either they had family obligations or even some players actually decided to go do another sport besides football during the spring.
Right. Who wouldn't want to do football? That was the question I probably should have asked.
You know, I know there's kids out there, especially a lot of kids love to cross over to do baseball during the spring.
Fair enough.
And I would imagine you may have had some baseball players that decided, hey, let me be on the diamond instead of the gridiron, and
not quite as rough on
not quite as tough on the body. So.
Yep.
Timeout, Corona.
Yeah, Corona's going to burn a timeout here, so we have plenty of opportunities to banter here, JR. What are your thoughts? I guess I've just asked everything across the board with Corona and King when it comes to this game today. But what are the challenges moving forward to balance the experience for these players and not to, sustain any injuries? And unfortunately, we already saw that with Corona.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Coach G and Coach Martinez are wanting to spread around some experience. So you may see players that get into this game that might not otherwise spend time on the field.
Yeah.
So it's a plus because they get to really see kids in a game experience. They can judge their talent level. They can help them condition even better. So we will see kids coming in and out probably a little bit more than we would usually see on a typical season.
Right. Now, for you and me, who were not quite star football players in high school, we really could have used something like this.
That goes without saying.
Right. Well,
my high school career was pretty lackluster, I can tell you that.
Well, when we start a game with a couple of timeouts and an injury, I felt it was a good time to bring that up. Butler pumps, and here he is.
Wow, got some daylight.
One of the more dynamic scrambling quarterbacks we have seen in this league. He takes off for a gain of 8 and a Panther first down.
First down. I'm really intrigued to see Butler spending a lot more time running the football.
Yeah.
I did not expect him to see him do this, but I think, Coach, he is maybe slightly nursing some injuries tonight, so Coach G didn't want to put too much pressure on his running back for tonight.
We haven't seen any big passing plays from Corona, and the game plan has worked so far. The Panthers had a promising first drive, and with a lateral that was ruled a fumble from Butler, which King recovered. So I'm sure the coach is thinking, we might as well not even have him get rid of the ball if he can run it like this. Butler has a first down. He hands to Coates, who loses it. And it appears the Panthers have recovered as Giovanni Lomas hops on the ball for a loss of 4.
Wow. Again, that's kind of been the Achilles heel for both of these squads, to lose and to turn over the football. And if they can eliminate that, it could be very beneficial for either one of these squads.
Ball at the 30-yard line.
Carlos Bedoya, if I'm not mistaken, was the one who jarred the ball loose for King.
Oh, we got another player down, too.
And we've got another one down, so I guess.
Wow.
Do you want to talk more about our wonderful high school football careers? Maybe not quite.
Actually, that was something I would like to sooner forget.
Fair enough.
I'd like to sooner forget that one.
Well, this was the worst nightmare for these coaches, to go into a game, spring game, and have the sort of players go down like this,
Well,
with Corona already facing the injuries and the COVID transfers they had coming into the season.
And you know what? It is Corian Coates, the running back, and that would be a super loss. I mean, here you've already lost Alcantar, which, just by the way he hobbled off, it was for certain. We're probably not going to see him again tonight.
Yeah.
Coates is able to walk off under his own power, which is a good thing. He is a little banged up coming into this football game, so he might sit down for a few plays just to kind of get his bearings back.
You know, maybe if Corona was playing a different opponent, he would have sat for this game. But because this is King, because Corona has every chance to win this game as any game they have on their schedule, the Panthers, I'm sure, wanted to give it a shot. So we hope he can return at some point in the game. If not, for Corian Coates, a strong start for that offense. The Panthers, led by Coates, are at the 30-yard line of King. Late in the first quarter, Butler looks to his left and fires downfield into coverage.
Oh.
And that is knocked away near the goal line, intended for Jacob Zamorano.
Broken up by number 2, David Adams. Brings up 3rd and 14.
And David Adams knocks it away. Well, we didn't see much of the long ball for Christian Butler in this game, but he certainly has a cannon back there. That was a 35-yard pass.
Yeah, this is a talented kid. We've obviously seen his capabilities to run. We saw a little bit there on how he can throw. Unfortunately, just not able to get it to his receiver on that one.
And after that, Corona, who had talked about some of their kicking woes, PATs and field goals over last year and this, 3rd and 14 in field goal range. Statue of Liberty. Gain of 6 in the inside for Jordan Reed, the reserve
Reed
running
is
back.
now in the game here.
4th down for the Panthers.
That was a great play. I
sure
love
was.
that. I love seeing the trick plays. It reminds me, I love watching Boise State football.
All right.
Where you see a lot of the trick stuff happen. And
That was how they won the big bowl game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
The Fiesta Bowl back in 2007.
The King 25-yard line.
So
Pulling out all the
very nice pickup.
stops. And considering the kicking, which we talked about, this isn't too much of a surprise. 4th and 9, Corona will go for it.
Why not?
Why not?
They're right within that red zone just about, so let's give it a shot here.
The Panthers began this drive after a muffed snap on the first Wolves snap of the ball game.
Well, we got movement.
That may be 5 more
Offsides.
yards.
Wow.
Bendoya, Carlos Bendoya, may have given Corona a better chance.
The Wolves, 5-yard penalty.
Panthers advance to the red zone. Unless you're really inside the 15, this is probably too far for a field goal.
Yeah. I mean, but being right at the 20, you're right there. You can make something happen. And look, you're 5 yards away from a first down. So I don't know if you necessarily want to hit the end zone right now.
We've seen it all from this quarterback, Christian Butler, including the hard count on that 4th down and 9. The Panthers' Jordan Reed is the running back. 2x2 for Corona. 4th and 4. The Panthers in the midst of an incredible drive. Late in the first quarter. Speed option. Butler keeps it himself. Dives to the first down. He is stopped right at the marker.
Boy, this is going to be close.
Yep, tough decision for the
It's gonna be real
officials.
close.
First down.
Oh, they got it.
Yep, just enough.
Wow. Very good play.
Looked like he got it. Christian Butler was hit, though, about 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage in a gain
Boy,
of 5.
Butler is your leading rusher so far for Corona. I was not expecting that,
Yeah.
to be perfectly honest with you.
Especially when the Panthers' Ron Gehringer talks so much about Corian Coates. Now, unfortunately, he's out with the injury, but just how great he is.
Exactly.
And Christian Butler, that has to feel pretty good that he has a weapon back there, just a junior at quarterback. He has put together an incredible drive almost entirely by himself. From the red zone, they'll go to the ground. Corian Coates is back in the game and tight ropes to about the 12. It looked like he was done about 3 minutes ago.
I'll tell you what, he's springing back to life here, and it just kind of shows you how talented of a player he is.
Corian Coates, 5'8", 180 pounds. And he spoke about him transferring from Texas, but it is kind of the problem. You get the crop that you get, and at a school like Corona, when you see Centennials right down the way and all these other schools, it's hard to develop a winner in a league like this.
It is. It really is. I mean, it's such a challenge that Corona Centennial has posed for this entire league to deal with.
Yeah. Man in motion, that's Logan Waits. Butler fires
Nice.
a deep pitch route, a beautiful route run, and Jet Carr makes the grab, his first of the game. And that's enough for a Corona first down. It isn't pretty, it isn't any sort of spectacular plays, but Butler and the offense has been very productive.
Great execution on that play. And you got to give some kudos to the offensive line, too, for giving him the time to spring it out there to his receiver.
Yeah, Butler yet to be sacked so far in this incredible drive. The Panthers, in which the drive started at their own 40, have marched all the way to a 1st and goal from the King 5. The Panthers last year lost this game 7-6. They have a chance to take the lead here. Butler scrambles to his right, and Shimon Gray was one of the Wolves' defenders to converge. And Jack McPherson was there too.
Boy, Butler is just not afraid to lower that shoulder and
Yeah.
take a beating there, and he's a tough kid.
Brings up 2nd and goal for the Panthers.
Looks like they're just going to run out the clock here.
Right, just old school football for Corona High School. Brilliant start to the game for their quarterback, junior Christian Butler. We'll see if the Panthers can take the lead when we return to Riverside TV. End of one, we have no score, but the Panthers will face a 2nd and goal when we come back. Nick Rice, J.R.E. Barrow, welcome back. Week 3 of the 2021 spring football season. Week 3 of 5, which is strange enough. And what was even more strange was that the Panthers, well, they suffered a pretty serious injury to begin the game to their excellent receiver in Daniel Arcantar. And for some weird reason, all of a sudden, this offense looks even more explosive. Now with the likes of Christian Butler assuming the role as not just the quarterback, but also the main runner for this football team. On a 2nd down and goal, he fakes the handoff, has the angle to the pylon, touchdown.
Wow, impressive. Very impressive.
Christian Butler did it himself. And that King High School offense must have cobwebs to shake off. They've had one snap in the ball game today.
You know, when you look at the time clock, you know, I was impressed last week with the drive that King started out with by chewing up 9 minutes. This was pretty much an entire quarter.
Yeah.
For
King had one
for
play.
Corona. Yeah. Corona essentially chewed up 12-plus minutes
Yeah.
of time here.
So the Panthers go on a pretty promising 3-minute long drive, and then Butler throws a lateral that's ruled a fumble, recovered by King, and on the first Wolves play of the game, they give it right back to Corona, who then engineer a 9-minute long drive, and here they are up 6-0. It appears that the Panthers may go for 2 here. Indeed, that is the case.
Yeah.
Of course, Corona lost last year's game to the school 7-6. Panthers lead it tonight 6-0. 2-point try. Coates is behind Butler in the pistol. They'll fake the handoff to him. He fires to the back corner of the end zone as Butler got slammed. Incomplete. The pressure from Carlos Bedoya, who seems to be just about everywhere for that Wolves defense. Our score is 6-0 early in the second quarter.
Nice change of pace there. I mean, they gave a little bit of a misdirection in order to try to spread things out defensively, but unfortunately not able to hit his target.
And the Wolves get 6 out of that one with 11:55 left to go in the half. Let's take a quick look at where these two teams are this year. Corona has had back-to-back frustrating losses. Lost 47-6 at Roosevelt, and a loss 65-6 against the Cougars of Norco going into tonight's game. So Corona, I'm sure they're taking out some frustrations offensively on this team.
Absolutely. Again, as we mentioned, you know, Norco and Corona Centennial are the two-headed monsters of the league here, and it is always a very difficult game whenever you face either one of those programs.
Yeah, this is turning into a bit of a rivalry, considering how close this series has been over the years. King, meanwhile, was smacked in the opener right here, or right across the way in Corona, 50-0 to the Huskies of Centennial, before King lost a nail-biter, 21-18 to Roosevelt last week. Short line drive kickoff past the bounce of Dustin.
Oh boy, it's
and
a lot.
that rolls.
I thought it was live, but it stepped out of bounds, which is very fortunate.
Right.
Because he had tossed that football close to the goal line there, and boy, that could have been a disaster.
Wound up being a pretty successful kick from the Panthers. King will have a long field for their first drive of the quarter. King has had one snap of offense in the game. It's probably is the first time in the history of my high school watching days, and I've watched quite a few high school football games over the years, over nearly a decade of high school football. I don't think I've ever seen a quarter dominated by one team like that in time of possession.
Yeah, like I said, you know, with last week's game and King and the way they dominated the first quarter, Corona really upped them tonight.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh.
I was like, okay, that's probably not going to happen again. 1 week later,
Exactly.
they'll figure it's even more.
I thought, I'm never going to see that again. Well, I'll see it again this week.
Well, the Wolves, I'm sure, had a discussion about their quarterback-center exchange, and they may even have more of a discussion as King burns a timeout. We're just seeing more and more firsts. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen an offense burn a timeout before they even begin the drive.
Yeah, I think Coach Martinez just obviously didn't like what he saw formation-wise from his offensive squad, decided to say, hey, let's check it up. Let's talk about it, because they got to get themselves in a rhythm right now.
Yeah.
They've not done so, obviously, with the turnover, and they need a chance to kind of settle down, get in a rhythm, and just try to keep things moving slowly here.
Right. So you are not only an expert in color commentary, but you've been writing stats down. Do you have any numbers for us?
I've
for what
not
the Panthers
tabulated
did?
yet, but I can see that Butler has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 carries. I'll have to tally because I'm really bad at math.
Okay, I can do that for you. That's 41 yards on 9 carries.
That's not bad.
Pretty good, and considering he converted 2 third downs and a 4th down on that 9-minute long drive. Panthers lead the game 6-0 on the excellent scoring run, if I'm not mistaken, from Corey and Coates. Jet sweep to begin the game. Out to the right side goes the Wolves. Number 14, who we don't have a number for. And he's out of bounds. Well, the PA guy doesn't know either, as you can hear. Whoever number 14 is,
Number 14.
Jordan Reed made the stop. So the Wolves, I mean, they must be a little chilly and they must be a little rusty, but number 14 looked pretty fast coming out of the end right there for King to begin that drive.
Yeah, it was a nice run.
And the Wolves up against a Corona defense that certainly has fresh bodies out there, courtesy of the long drive. King will set up with a second down and about 3 yards to go.
Ooh,
Number
boy.
14 is wrapped up in the backfield. It took a while, but down he goes.
Didn't work that time.
Edward Melendez wraps him up inside the 10. It's a loss of 6 for number 14.
Loss back to the original line of scrimmage brings up 3rd and 10 for the Wolves.
Wow, 3rd and long here.
And King, if they're not careful, could give the ball back to an offense which has its mojo here in this first half in the Panthers. Second drive of the game for King. Both clubs have a turnover to start. Panthers controlling the clock against the team of the Wolves who have yet to pick up a first down. The Wolves on 3rd and 10. They'll go to the jet sweep. 14 as a convoy. He's at the 15. Cuts back to the 20. And is spun down just inside the 30-yard line.
On the carry.
Ward.
First down, and that's another King High. First down.
Gain of 20 for Ward.
Made by number 9, Isaiah Figueroa, and number 21,
Nice run to get out of the hole there.
Yeah, we're trying to get a name down. It's last name Ward, first name we'll see. But
Actually,
number
it
14
might have been Ford.
or Ford. Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to work off some notes here, folks. So
They'll hand it to-
some faulty notes.
Right. With a flag thrown, he escapes out of the right side on the jet sweep and motors towards the sideline where he is nailed just across the 30-yard line. A hold will wipe out that 8-yard scamper from number 14 of King. And this would be a good time as any to maybe explain ourselves, is that these schools, considering that for a while, you and me included, thought we wouldn't even have high school football spring
Exactly.
season. So
Exactly.
a lot of these schools are scrambling, putting together the rosters, putting together all the different training staff and coaching staffs. In fact, the head coach of King High School was thrust into the coaching lineup courtesy of McCarthy and his health situation from this spring.
Right. Pat McCarthy was supposed to be the head coach here at King. Unfortunately, some health issues have kept him on the sidelines, if you will.
Yeah.
And Rich Martinez has really stepped in and done a nice job here.
So this is one of those where, as impressive as it is to win a game here, or just competing is so impressive for these schools. I mean, there isn't too much pressure with the consideration of no playoffs. We're just trying to get 5 games of experience for these guys.
Yeah, that's
Not
what
so much you got to play perfect football this time of year.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, is just trying to get as much reps for these kids as possible and get them in some sort of game mode as we look towards the 2021 season. Kind of odd to be thinking we're in 2020 season right now, but
Right.
that's kind of initially what it is.
The Wolves, courtesy of a penalty and a run for loss, are backed up to a second down and 22. And number 15 for the team, who also is not on the King High School roster. We'll get a name as soon as we can. We believe it might
I believe
be.
that's Jaden Coffer.
Yeah, Jaden Coffer, we talked about as potentially the quarterback. He is out there under center. Coffer hands to Drake Dustin on a jet sweep. And Dustin makes a move with a 20, and with another flag thrown, he is wrapped up just short of the original line of scrimmage. That is an 11-yard gain.
Nice.
It's indication of holding on King.
Nice pickup. Unfortunately, they shoot themselves in the foot again with the penalties.
Drake Dustin, a star receiver last year, now plays both ways for King High School. And with the roster numbers depleted for both schools, considering this is a spring football season, that is probably going to be more of a commonality that these guys are playing both ways.
Absolutely. I think tonight both squads will see players starting defensively and offensively.
And for King High School, early in the second quarter, 2nd and 25. The offense just can't seem to find the sort of rhythm they had in a thrilling nail-biter of a football game last week against the Mustangs of Roosevelt. 21-18 decision for them a week ago. Panthers have shut them out with 8 minutes to play in the first half here tonight on a beautiful April night here from Riverside. He takes a shot, does Crawford deep downfield, and Dustin is imploring that he was wide open on the play. The long ball intended for Simley of Corona, or King rather.
Pretty good toss. Unfortunately, Simley was just behind that football and was not anywhere near able to get his mittens on it.
Well, plenty of post-game tape to review for the offense of King to begin the game. Holding penalties have ravaged this offense, along with the first quarter turnover. 3rd and 25. This would be a remarkable conversion. But in a game of so many firsts,
you never know.
I wouldn't be shocked if they convert a 3rd and 25. Yep. So here we go. Drake Dustin receives the call, and he heads to his right. Slips through the first wave. 15. Cuts back to the 20.
Daylight.
Dustin makes a move. He doesn't gain the first down, but that was impressive. A gain of 18 on 3rd and 25.
Made up a lot of turf and territory there, so you got to give him credit for making the effort.
Oh, another Panther down.
We got another player down in the field right now.
We'll get a player name as soon as we can. 7:33 to go in the half. 6-0 Panthers. As Christian Butler, the Corona quarterback, scored the only points of the ball game on a 4-yard rushing touchdown. Well, for the Panthers, it's the 3rd time we've seen a player go down. 1 returned, 1 didn't.
Yeah, like we mentioned, I think Alcantar really was able to hobble off with a lot of difficulty, so I doubt we'll see him. I'm not sure who this is on the turf right now. I'm trying to find a number. I can't see from this vantage point yet.
But nevertheless, I mean, we spoke before the game to their head coach, and he was nervous because of the roster size difference between their school, his school, and them.
Right.
And I'm sure with more players for them playing both ways, here's the look of an accumulation of hits over the course of a season.
Right.
And it's just a quick turnaround. I mean, as soon as this season ends in mid-April, these schools have, if I'm not mistaken, 6 weeks before all of a sudden preparation for the fall begins. So
yeah,
I'm sure some of the ailments and bruises that they suffer for this spring season, they'll still feel it by a fall for next year.
And you know what's great? You think of the seniors who almost lost out on the opportunity to play their final season. So Luis Miramontes is the player who's hobbling off to the sidelines here, and it looks like he's able to come off under his own power. So that's good news.
Yeah. And for the Panthers, it's an impressive start. Christian Butler manned the offense and played well in the first quarter and scored the goal line touchdown. 4th down and about 7. And King will bring on the punt team. 6'6", 280-pound senior Mason Murphy. Well, the game of first continues. We see an offensive lineman punting the ball.
From what I understand, though, we'll talk a little bit after the punt here. Mason is actually heavier than that 280 that's listed on paper.
Really?
He's closer to 315 from what I understand.
Well, they have 2 officials deep, no return men deep for Corona. Murphy, whatever weight he is in size, takes the snap and sends this one towards the sideline. It'll bounce between the hash and numbers to about the 48-yard line. A solid punt from Murphy. That's about 20 yards.
That's not bad, coming from a big kid like that. But, yeah, last weekend when we were covering the Norte Vista versus Ramona game, Ramona has a pretty sizable kicker as well who's about 305. And there was a little bit of a competition going on. Well, who has the heaviest kicker in the Riverside area? And I guess King can claim the title right now.
Yeah. Not bad. One of the more effective punters, too. Forget size. Pretty good spiraling punt. High enough where they couldn't return it either. Even though, so many firsts in this game. When do you see a punt return team with no return man?
Yeah, we saw we kind of saw a little bit of that last weekend. And for some reason, I think maybe coaches are just not wanting to get players injured in terms of special teams. So that could be part of it. So.
Well, the Panthers, fresh off of that impressive drive of a short field. Butler fakes the handoff, throws a jet sweep to Jet, and he is smoked for a loss. Jet Carr stuffed for a 1-yard loss. Glad you're joining us midway through the second quarter. 6-0 Panthers. Christian Butler, their do-it-all quarterback, has been the star of the show. Meanwhile, the King Wolves offense is struggling to get much going in the ball game. First drive on the opening snap, it was a turnover for them, ended any sort of momentum, and on the second, 2 holding penalties wiped out that drive, and courtesy of the quick possession, the Panthers have a short field. With 4 receivers in the game, Butler goes to the ground. Here's Corian Coates. He spins and somehow evades 2 defenders.
Still on his feet.
And is still on his feet out of bounds of the line of scrimmage. Did you
Boy,
watch that run?
I thought Coates was injured here. What's
I
all
thought
that
he
about?
was. Did you watch that run, 2007, Marion Barber in the end zone, Cowboys against the Patriots?
Yes.
Did you see that game?
I
He
do
broke
remember
like
that.
10 tackles in his own end zone and avoided a safety. That's what that play reminded me of.
Coates is a Texan.
Oh,
So,
you know what?
You know.
No, there was no pun intended for that. It just worked out. And that was a pretty impressive run from Corian Coates.
Yeah, there's plenty of some stout high school games in the Texas area, so he comes in with a lot of great experience, I'm sure.
Right. And high praise from his coach. That looked like a run for no gain. They'll mark him down for a loss of 1. They'll feed it to him on 3rd and 11. No chance. Chase Shackelford, their star linebacker. A huge tackle and a loss of 5. Well, they'll call it a 4-yard loss. Shackelford almost took the handoff.
It looks like Coach G wants to keep the offense still on the field here.
With that said, it shows some great respect for the Panthers to go to a run on a 3rd and long. It shows the excellence of a Corian Coates that he's capable of converting a 3rd down like that. Not so much when the linebacker is standing a foot in front of you before you get the handoff.
So I guess Coach G wanted to talk things over. Wonder if he'll bring in the punting squad here.
Yeah, on a 4th and 14. So Panthers lead the ball game 6-0. For those of you tuning in, hoping to see a shootout between 2 high-powered offenses. Well, the defenses had different designs. It's 6-0.
They had a different idea tonight.
Yeah, but it was the close game that we were hoping for coming in.
Yeah.
And, it took about a quarter for these teams to shake off some of the jitters of one of their first football games in 2 years. And here they are looking much more in midseason form in the second quarter.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that, you and I have not really seen any high school football since 2019.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy. But it's just like fitting on a glove. It feels good to be back.
Absolutely. Even though we're in April, this feels like fall weather.
Sure
feels
does.
like football weather for sure.
Temperature dipped into the 60s. Some wind coming in. Butler, the do-it-all quarterback, well, he's a punter too. It's towards the sideline. Not quite as far as the Murphy punt from a moment ago. So let's see where they mark this. About the 32-yard line. That's a punt of around 22 for Christian Butler. And King will set up shop. 1st and 10 from their own 32. Speaking of fitting on gloves.
Yeah, it's getting, like we said, it's getting a little chilly out here. I'm going to put on the gloves right now because it's like.
Fair enough.
I tend to get kind of cold fingers here, and I'm trying to write these stats. So kind of look like Mickey Mouse here with these white gloves.
So our current game day temperatures are 68 degrees. 68, and we're wearing gloves, aren't we?
Well,
8-mile-an-hour wind from the west.
Yes, we are a couple of sissies.
Do you have an astronaut suit that you have in your bag there?
I'll pull it out as the temperature continues to plummet. I'll pull it out
all the way down to 67 degrees at some point tonight. They'll feature the run. Noah Neal, a sophomore tailback, takes the inside handoff and begins this King drive with a gain of 7. Well, these certainly, make no mistake about it, aren't the most dominant of offenses through 2 games of the season. But when it comes to this King offense, Well, it seems like they've got a host of running backs who have all touched the ball and have played pretty well. And for an offense, when you spend most of a football game standing on the sideline, it has to hurt the team, especially when the next drive, there were so many penalties that they suffered on that possession. Neal takes another inside run.
Wow.
And picks up, whoa, he keeps on going, picks
Very
up
nice.
11 and a King first down. What a run.
First down. Ball on the Corona side of the 50-yard line. Spotted.
Noah Neal, just a sophomore.
That's another King high. First down.
You know, King is kind of fighting the clock here because, yeah, they like to methodically go down the field, but with 4:09 remaining, they obviously want to pick up some yardage here to try to get to that end zone.
And this is old school football we've seen in the first half. No pass completed beyond 5 yards of the line of scrimmage for either team in the first half. They'll feature Noah Neal again. Gut
Nice.
run for 8.
Noah Neal on the carry.
Taken
So
down
we're
by
beginning to see
Panther
a
line.
little bit of a rhythm here in terms of the running game for King.
Nearly 10 yards. Just short of the
Yeah,
Neal is just shy, so that's a 9-yard pickup.
right. Yeah, they've moved it even more. The officials very impressed by the efforts of Noah Neal. Aiden Murphy made that Panther stop at linebacker. 3:16 to go in the half. It's almost as if it's a 2-minute drill considering how these offenses play. King has featured 2 wide receivers and 2 running backs on the run. Here's one of the receivers on a jet sweep. Dustin to the right side, has a
great.
convoy to the 30 and is bumped out of bounds at the 24. The Panthers, Logan Waits is the 4th player in this half to suffer an injury. That's with 3 minutes to go in the half. Logan Waits.
Wow.
This has got to be very frustrating for the coaching staff in Corona High School.
Oh, it definitely is, and boy, he looks like he's in some significant pain right now. So we'll hope for the best for him.
He was so animated at the field, I couldn't help but watch as Dustin was scrambling downfield. He was slamming the turf. He knew right away this was a pretty significant injury, and this is very unfortunate. I mean, the camera right now isn't showing the Corona sideline, but look at the bodies for King High School.
Yeah.
They have a juggernaut, and then for Corona, who has the lead, by the way, I mean, they barely have enough bodies to field 11 on offense and 11 on defense.
Yeah, they have struggled with enough players on the roster, and I know Coach G is doing his best to work with the tools in his toolbox right now.
And I mean, that's got to play a role in the second half. Corona,
Absolutely.
I'm sure, hoping to have the lead because fatigue will be a real thing when King has 4 different players touching the rock in this first half running the ball.
Well, Waite's able to get off the turf on his own power, and that's promising. I'm sure they'll take him over to the trainer's table and have a look at him, but he doesn't look too seriously injured right now.
Yeah, look, holding on to his left hip. For those of you just joining us, Nick Rice, J.R. Ibarra, late in the first half. Panthers lead the ball game 6-0. Their do-it-all quarterback, who is a runner, a thrower, a punter, and who knows, maybe is that him? Yes, it is. He plays defense. He's one of the linebackers,
Yes.
Christian Butler.
Yeah, he's
So he
also-
does everything. He scored the only points of the ball game, 4-yard rushing touchdown. First down from the 24, and the quarterback is under duress and throws this one away. He is pleading that is not an intentional grounding, and indeed, no penalty flag thrown. Jaden Coffer incomplete.
Yeah, Butler's a tough kid, man. He's a middle linebacker
That is
along with being
insane.
a quarterback. I mean, how many times do you see that in high school play?
Especially when he's basically their running back.
So far,
Quarterback playing running back.
So far, he has been the leading ground gainer here for the Panthers.
I'd like to know the workout regimen for Christian Butler to do that. Punter, maybe he's a kicker, but Corona did not attempt a PAT. And, of course, quarterback and linebacker. Excellent King drive, 2:45 to play in the half, 6-0 Panthers. End around, but Dustin loses the football, and it's a huge loss, covered up by Jack McPherson.
Yeah, the ball handling has been somewhat of an issue here for King, and unfortunately that comes back to bite them here.
Yeah, huge loss.
3rd and 19.
3rd and 19. That was a loss of 11, if I'm not mistaken, back to the 33-yard line. So much for King trying to manage the clock unless the Wolves move the sticks quickly to the 14. Well, King may not have enough chances to find the end zone. Panthers defense holding up with a sensational first half performance. Coffer with a deep drop, looks to his right, and he's going to the end zone. But that pass was out of bounds. Maybe some contact in the secondary, but there was no chance for that one to be completed anyways.
So what do you do now here, Nick? You are at 1:49 left
Wait a minute.
in the half.
Isn't that a question I'm supposed to ask? I mean, but, hey, since you asked me, I would say, you know what? Given that Corona hasn't shown much of a deep ball passing game, I'd go for it.
Yeah.
Even if you give the ball up, Corona may not have enough chances.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, with one timeout. And you know what? There's no playoffs on the line for this season, so may as well show your players that you've got some confidence in you. Smiley is waving his hand behind his head. That typically means he's going deep.
Yikes.
But that certainly will be a bit tougher with the false start.
Boy,
Smiley is wearing number 7. He's towards the bottom of your screen at wide receiver. And on a 4th down and forever, he may be the recipient of a long attempt from Jaden Coffer at quarterback. 4th and 24, and it's not too long for King to go for it. Well, maybe it is. Murphy at the last moment checks into the game.
Oh. Well, they kicked the football here. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see. 1:53 to play in the half. 6-0 Panthers on a Christian Butler rushing touchdown.
Nope, they're going to bring it to the line of scrimmage here.
Murphy will play offensive line on this
Wow,
sequence.
what happened now? Well, we got
King
another
burns a
timeout.
timeout. They have on the score sheet, yep, 1 remaining. We've got it right. 1 for each side. We've had plenty of opportunities to gather ourselves. If I will, let me take a look at some of your notes that you wrote down here,
Absolutely.
JR. And actually, in fact, that's one thing that I find very interesting. He comes from, does Corona head coach and Ron Gehringer comes from the Matt Logan tree.
Yeah, that's what is kind of interesting. Coach G was telling us before the game here that essentially he was the one that kind of kickstart Corona Centennial. Matt Logan was actually one of his coordinators back in the day. Mm-hmm. And look what Matt Logan has done with that program now. I mean, it is a nationally ranked program. It's just incredible.
And they weren't always like this.
No, not at all.
Yeah, Matt Logan's put together a winner, and if it wasn't for teams in the Trinity League, St. John Bosco and Modern Day, that maybe Corona Centennial will be talked about as a juggernaut in California and in the nation. Coffer rolls to his right and heaves it as far as he can into the end zone for Dustin. Smiley juggles, but makes the grab. Touchdown King. On 4th and 24, Coffer to Smiley, and the Wolves have tied the ball game.
Boy, he just kind of hung it up there, and Simley was right there almost catching it like it's a punt return.
What a play from Coffer. I mean, he may have not even seen on that bootleg. He may have not even seen his receiver open.
No, it was almost a Hail Mary situation.
Yeah.
Because he had 2 receivers in the end zone there, and thankfully he had one of his guys pull it down for the score.
Well, King won last year's meeting against this school 7-6. Dustin will hold for a PAT that will give them a 7-6 lead. Snap, set, and the kick is good. King 7-6. In flashes of last year, won by the Wolves by just the points.
Boy, how impressive was that, facing a 4th and 24 situation. Clock kind of running down there. It's like, let's make something out of this mess, and they do.
What a play, though, from Jaden Coffer, and what a spark for this football team and these fans in the first half, who I'm sure were just expecting run, strong defense, and some short throws throughout the ball game. Jaden Coffer had other designs.
It's a nice way to see King kind of bounce back here, because after that first quarter, that was pretty lackluster, and the second quarter has been a whole lot brighter for this
Right,
squad.
and really a crushing conversion given up by the Panthers. They had them stopped.
Boy, you just kind of wonder if that might play a factor in the end score of this game here.
With the score 7-6, King in front of Corona. The Wolves will kick it off.
For the Wolves, number 18, Evan Milstead.
One of these teams are going to win their first game of the season tonight, Milstead, to kick off for the Wolves. We haven't seen a kickoff return of note so far today, courtesy of the Squib Kicks. Here's another one. It's high and short to the right, and it's muffed at the 39-yard line, juggled by Elijah Fonthong,
I think King has it.
and it's recovered by the Wolves inside the 40. Elijah Fonthong muffs for Corona.
Covered by Kings, number 63, Evan Simon. First and 10.
Well, this game has turned around quickly. King has one timeout, 1:37 to go in the half, and a quarterback who's got to be feeling pretty good out there.
Yeah, you know, they're kind of in the same situation that they were just a few minutes ago, with the ball spotted right at the 40-yard line. So they do have a little bit of time to play with just about a minute and a half before halftime here.
And fresh off with a touchdown grab, Simley is split to the right. And Drake Dustin is the wideout, slot to the left for King. He takes the jet sweep, races outside, and Dustin utilizes the sideline. A good clock-stopping run on the first down carry from Dustin. That's a scamper of 7.
By Jet Carr. Brings up second down for the Wolves. And a long 3.
Senior at 5'9", 165 pounds. I mean, as much as he is a wide receiver, since we're in the baseball season, utility player. It would be a good comparison for this guy. A do-it-all player at that slot position. Throwback football here on a beautiful Friday night, just past April Fool's Day in spring football, week 3 of 5 in the CIF. Dustin in motion. They'll hand it to him again. Dustin fakes a pass as he looks downfield and gains a couple. King has one timeout. They won't use it yet. That's with 1:20 to go in the half. Well, maybe they are using it.
Clock is
No,
running
they're
here.
not.
Yeah, they got to keep things moving here.
Yeah, they're doing a huddle right near the coach.
Third and 2. For the
Third down and 2.
31 of the
The
Panthers.
Wolves are at the 31-yard line. Jaden Coffer, a cannon for an arm back there behind center. He takes the snap and fakes the Dustin. Noel heads to the right side and is spilled inbounds just across the 25.
O'Neal on the carry for another King High. First
Wrapped up by Jason Cobbs.
tackle
Clock
made.
keeps on moving. 53 seconds to go in the half. And he spikes with a flag. There may have been an illegal formation.
Smart move. Very smart move to do that.
If this penalty is against the Panthers. Well, maybe there's no penalty. A flag was thrown. All right, I guess there's no
Guess
penalty.
not. No, I guess not.
Well, these guys are in the preseason too. Might as well test out your arm strength as an official. Let's see if I can get rid of that flag. We hadn't seen any penalties in most of this quarter after a penalty-ravaged first quarter, especially for King. With a deep drop, Coffer looks to his right, rolls, fakes, takes off,
Nice move.
and dances inbounds to the 10. He's not going out, then
Oh.
loses the football. It's rolling around to the goal line. Both teams have had a shot at it. It's bouncing around in the end zone.
Touchback.
Touchback.
Wow.
Panthers take over as Jaden Coffer was making too much happen out there. And King commits their second turnover here at the goal line.
Unfortunately, Coffer was probably trying to do just a little too much. Did not cradle the football, and man, it got knocked out of his hands. There is a marker down in the field now, though.
I think that's a shoe. Or is it a penalty?
I believe it is a marker.
Well, if this penalty is on King, you've got to believe the Panthers will decline. And I think that's the case. I'm sure it was a King penalty that's declined. Yep.
Yep.
Flag on the play.
Well, for the Panthers, they go from completely crushed
Wow.
with the 4th and 24 touchdown pass from Coffer. Then all of a sudden, you've got to feel pretty good going into the half, as they very easily could have taken an 8-point lead.
Well, the Panthers are not known for their long ball, but they've got 34 seconds to play with here. So let's see what they want to do offensively on this series.
Christian Butler, their do-it-all quarterback. We'll see just how far he can throw it, if he does. Now the Panthers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They've got 11 now.
That's good.
11 player on the field. 1st and 10. Speed option. And Butler is stuffed. Shackelford makes the play again. And with 28 seconds to go in the half, the clock is running. The Panthers may not even run a play before we hit the break.
Looks like momentarily he was looking at Coast, but decided to keep it.
I mean, Butler, it almost appeared that Coates may have had more of an opportunity to gain some yards, but I'm sure he's talked to his head coach that may as well not risk something like that at this end of the field. The Panthers, with 1 second left in the half, will use the timeouts.
Yeah, it is kind of a wise move. You obviously do not want to put it on the turf at this point of the ball game.
But with 1 second left, unless there's a pick six, you may as well take a shot downfield. Well, I can tell what coaching staff is joining us here in the press box tonight. 7-6 King. Well, this half took a little longer than most high school football games due to the injuries, the timeouts,
Right.
all the turnovers we've seen. What are your thoughts overall, the first 2 quarters?
Well, you know, as we kind of expected, both teams needed a little bit of time to kind of get things up and running. It has been, unfortunately, felt with some penalties, with some turnovers, and still both of these teams trying to get some traction, if you will,
Yeah.
both offensively and defensively here. I would imagine with 1 second remaining here, they may just take a knee, might be the smartest thing to do.
But it would be perplexing that they call a timeout just to take a knee, but we'll see. I mean, it certainly seems like a smart idea at their own 20, but maybe that's why we're not high school head coaches.
Exactly.
So Butler will feature Coates. He races to the right, the guy who was just hurt a couple of series ago. Stuffed for a loss, taken down by Reynolds, and that'll pad some of the stats for that excellent King defense. And with that, the Wolves go into the break with a 7-6 lead. The Panthers mustered up an impressive 9-minute long first quarter drive, capped by Christian Butler rushing touchdown, but on 4th and 24, with under 2 minutes to go in the half, King quarterback Jaden Coffer launched a beauty to Simley for the go-ahead touchdown. Wolves lead the ball game 7-6.
You know, we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, that missed field goal attempt or that point after attempt now for Corona kind of brings back some bad memories from last year.
Yeah.
So we'll head into halftime here with a very tight score of 7-6 being led by King.
Wolves won last year's meeting by this exact score, 7-6. And in just a few minutes, we'll begin the second half. From King High School here in beautiful Riverside, California, Riverside TV coverage of CIF and Riverside High School football continues in just a moment. For J.R. Ibarra, I am Nick Rice. At the half here from Riverside, King leads the ball game 7-6. Welcome back. We've got high school football from Riverside, California. Nick Rice, J.R.E. Barra. King and Corona, 1-point ball game. For those of you looking for a nail biter, well, you've come to the right place.
Yeah, it's a good, close ball game, kind of what we expected with these clubs. Unfortunately, a few penalty markers along with some injuries for Corona has been kind of the detriment for that squad. But I think overall some very interesting football we've seen so far.
Now, we aren't expecting any snow flurries, but it could happen later tonight. J.R.E. Barra is telling us. Here alongside me, 68 degrees.
You know, it doesn't feel
It
that
really
warm.
doesn't.
It feels a lot colder than that. But I think the fact that we're out in the elements here, so it's a little bit cooler out for us here.
Yeah,
from
with
where,
the wind. Okay, it's 64 degrees.
Okay. We'll try to manage, folks.
we'll
We'll
try and
manage
bear
for you.
through
We're
it.
doing this for you, folks.
We only brought pants and suit jackets and gloves for this one, unfortunately. All right, here we go. Start of the second half. Corona scored on a magnificent 9-minute-long drive to begin the game. Christian Butler, their quarterback, took it into the goal line. Panthers led 6-0 on a missed 2-point conversion. Then King late in the half converted a 4th and 24 with a touchdown. Jaden Coffer out
Oh,
to,
baby.
Here's
Wow.
a good return.
Some daylight there for a moment or two.
Hancock across midfield for King.
Nice run back.
And he sparks the offense across midfield. Now, when you look at the numbers through the first 2 quarters of the game, I mean, outside of the miracle, King, this is a team that really controlled the ball game except for that opening drive. It's amazing. Corona's only down 1.
Yeah, it is so far. And let's see what happens here as we start off the second half. You know, that's a nice way to start things off with that great run back. That could obviously provide some momentum here for King.
King outgained Corona through 2 quarters, 136 yards to 58. And the Panthers, in fact, this was 58, not 68 yards. The Panthers, since their touchdown drive to close the first quarter, they have negative yards of offense. Dustin has positive yards right here.
Wow, nice run.
As the King receiver is taken out near the first down marker. We wait for the signal. If he converted, he's short. It's a gain of 9 on the run from Dustin, who is really a Swiss Army knife. 3 carries for 23 yards for number 5 of King in the first half.
Very impressive run. Nice blocking from their front line to spring them to get that gainer.
And this is a matchup between 2 throwback, run-heavy football teams. More so for Corona than King. We saw the Wolves with the dynamic passing game in the first half with a touchdown from Jaden Coffer. But they have featured the run, including this one here on a 2nd down and short. He keeps the legs churning. And it's another first down pickup for King tailback. It appears Noah Neal, just a sophomore, is turning into the star runner of the ball game for the home team.
Looks like we got somebody down for King.
It's a gain of 11 for Noah Neal. And Hancock, who just ripped off that huge kickoff return to begin the second half, is shaken up at the 40-yard line. Let's take a close look at the numbers through 2 quarters. I mean, now I'm having my click, 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 my mouth shuddering because of our frigid conditions. So when we look at the quarterbacks, Jaden Coffer has 39 yards passing. Butler has 10 yards passing, but that's not where the battle ends between the 2 signal callers.
No, not in the least bit. Obviously, we're expecting a little bit more yardage out of both of these quarterbacks, especially out of Coffer. I think Coffer really showed some nice game last weekend. And for Butler, boy, impressive so far with his running capabilities. He's really kind of carried this team so far in this football game.
Yeah, 9 carries for 41 yards and a touchdown. That was to begin the game. Jason Cobbs is the injured Wolf. We have seen 5 injuries in the ball game today. And that's with 11 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Not the 2nd, the 3rd quarter. That's to the delight of all the fans here from King High School.
Well, he's fired up. He's off the turf. You don't normally you see him kicking the legs up.
Right, yeah,
He's
well,
like,
you
"Yeah,
better be
baby."
careful not hurt whatever hurt you in the previous play.
It's like, I'm okay. Get me back in this game.
Right. I'm assuming after one play, he'll be back out there for King.
At the 29.
Wolves just underway in the third quarter in the midst of an impressive drive. 1st and 10 here to begin the second half inside the Corona 30-yard line. And this run's going nowhere.
Ooh, stacked up, big time.
Christian Butler, the Panther quarterback, was involved on the Noah Neal tackle. That'll go down as a loss of about 2 on the play.
Nate Science.
Kudos to all the cheerleaders out here tonight.
You know, it's great to see a crowd out tonight.
And the
I mean,
crowd, too.
You know, obviously we're restricted on the number of people who can be in the stands, but it's a pretty decent crowd.
Oh, yeah, sure is. And if this is like any other school, you can bring about 2 or 3 different family members or friends.
Correct.
Each player on the team can bring just a couple of folks. And I would say there's probably 500 people here tonight. That'd be my guess, maybe a little more.
And also on the Corona side, they wound up bringing some folks too, so they traveled over from Corona to get here tonight. So you got to give them kudos for wanting to spend a Friday evening out in these frigid temperatures.
Absolutely. And moving forward the rest of the season, these are 2 teams that play in a very tough conference. And, I mean, even though, for those of you big fans of Corona and King High School, even though they may not have the most sparkling of record by season end, I mean, just playing well against some of the top dogs in this league could gain some confidence the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. As we mentioned, you know, kind of the big 3 with Centennial, with Norco, and you can toss Roosevelt into the mix. I mean, they came into this weekend both, or all 3 of them being at 2-0. So those 3 have really shined so far in this season. So even in spite of the fact that both Corona and King have really struggled a little bit, you know, they're just trying to get things to happen here in these final couple of games here for the season.
Let's look at the point differential of Corona High School. The Huskies through 2 games have outscored their opponents 113-6.
Not surprising.
That's pretty good, isn't it? I think that's pretty good.
Not surprised.
Coffer guns it downfield. He finds Simley, who makes a move. It's his second grab of the ball game. And he is knocked down at around the marker. It's a gain of 13 to Simley. And a first down for King.
Very nice.
Coffer found Simley for a 39-yard scoring grab on 4th and 24. And he grabs another long one for a first down. I mean, Jaden Coffer, only his second completion of the game. Even though he hasn't really tested that arm much tonight, when he has the opportunity, he looks pretty strong back there and poised in the pocket.
Yeah, it was a good toss.
First down inside the red zone. Noah Neal with a foot race to the end zone. 5, 3, 2, 1, touchdown.
Got it. Nice run by Neal.
He lost the ball just across the pylon. And the Wolves cap off a 52-yard drive with the foot race from Neal. And the sophomore running back of King has continued the Wolves' onslaught. On the drive of nearly 3 minutes, Neal is in the end zone.
This is what Coach Martinez was looking for from his squad, so they now have kind of come back to life here in the second half of play. Very impressive drive by the Wolves.
Noah Neal has turned into a workhorse at the running back position. Drake Dustin and some of these other star receivers have toted the rock on a few occasions in the first half. Dustin and Simley both have a couple of runs. Out of the hold from Drake Dustin. The extra point is good, and the Wolves have taken a 14-6 lead, and it seems after a slow start to the game, first drive ended with a turnover. The second drive was ravaged by penalties and a punt at the end of it. Well, King has found their rhythm on the offensive end.
This is a team that we kind of saw last weekend that, you know, they're beginning to fire on all cylinders now and eliminating some of those mistakes that they've had in the first half. So very impressive series to start off the second half.
The sign of a great coach is someone who makes those in-game adjustments. And I'd say he's made some pretty good in-game adjustments as King head coach Rich Martinez.
Boy, as Coach Martinez was telling us before the game, you know, he's had the responsibility of overseeing the varsity, junior varsity, and the freshman squad.
That
so
is
it's
crazy.
like having to have all that in the back of your mind and trying to keep it moving. I mean, that's just kudos to Coach Martinez for what he's done so far.
Evan Milstead of the Wolves ready to kick off. He runs into the football, and Milstead sends away the squib kick out to the left. It almost serves like an onside kick. Unnecessary roughness. Hancock crushes the Panther return man.
Yep.
And that will be greeted with some extracurricular talking back and forth.
Yeah,
there's just no place for that.
Yeah, I don't think that was intentional. I think he did not see him wave it off for the kickoff there. So I'll give him kind of the benefit of the doubt on that one.
You know, you talked me out of my thoughts of that play. Because, you know, I've been around enough football where it's like, you know, that is so unusual to see somebody come after the return man like that. But,
right.
I mean, as you can see, if this King team is led by a coach that, you know, brings out the most energy out of these guys. You can see, you know, 1 through whatever the number is, 53 or beyond, they have a roster that is energized. And, I mean, even guys who get hurt, they're jumping up and celebrating because they want to give it their all for their coach, Rich Martinez. With the short field, here's the quarterback who takes off out to the right, Christian Butler.
Boy, Butler again.
It's an 8-yard scamper for the Panther quarterback. That gives him 10 carries for 49 yards in the ball game and a touchdown, which gave Corona the second quarter lead of 6-0. They missed the 2-point conversion. King scored late in the first half with a long 39-yard touchdown from Jaden Coffer. And then Noah Neal found the end zone for his first scoring run of the game, 14-6. Christian Butler reminds me a lot of the sort of size, build, and, you know, not explosive running. He's not going to outrun Michael Vick in a 40-yard dash, but Joe Flacco is this sort of a scrambling quarterback too. He looks left, Butler guns it into traffic. It's underthrown and picked off. Intercepted by Butler.
Wow, still on his feet. Man, he's fighting for every yard. Finally wrestled down.
Yep, at the 12. No, that's not Butler. We'll get a number 2. I don't know who that is. Yeah, that's Dylan Adams. Thank you, PA man. Dylan Adams, the interception for King High School.
Wow. It was a pretty decent-looking toss.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you had that defender there in the right place.
You
right
gave
time.
the King defender a break. Well, the wind is blowing about 10 miles an hour to Butler's face, so you know what? Maybe that played a factor in it. But it seemed like the ball hung in and sunk pretty quickly. 2 receivers were open on that play, and Butler found the receiver on the other team. Second turnover for them, 2 for King somehow. The turnovers have been equal in the game, but the Wolves have controlled the clock and the line of scrimmage. Neal, fresh off of the touchdown run. He is dragged down by 2 Panthers defenders. A remarkable 19 more yards for the sophomore, and a first down for King.
Boy, Neal's really coming to life here in the second half of play, getting some very key blocks from that front line.
Jack McPherson takes a spot at the running back position for King. Well, we saw the momentum swing about midway through the second quarter when King started to feature Noah Neal. And even though the Panthers had fresh legs out there, well, this defense, it seems that first quarter drive is too long ago. They look tired now. Number 14, jet sweep to the right. Ford, 30, 40. And he is pushed out of bounds just across the 43. Xavier Hughes and Jack McPherson converge for the Panthers. That's enough for another King first down.
Very impressive.
On a gain of 12. Yeah, that Panther defense looks gassed right now. Hands on their hips, a couple of the defensive linemen have. And that's really no surprise. Corona's working with about half the roster. Look at the screen, bottom of your screen. They can barely fit King, all of their players between the 30s. Corona might have a dozen players on the sideline. Jet sweep, and here goes McPherson. 10, 5, touchdown, Jack McPherson.
Wow. Again, you got to give credit to the front line because I think they really were able to just push back that defensive line for Corona, really open it up for that long gain and score.
That was impressive. First run of the game for wide receiver Jack McPherson, and he just showed the wheels to outrun the Panther defense of the end zone. And now King has gained over 250 yards. The Panthers had 58 in the first half, not much more since. So this has been a dominant start to the third quarter for King. After the low snap, Dustin puts it down, and the kick is good. And the kick gives King a 21-6 lead.
I think Corona's definitely going to have to try to settle in here. Obviously, time being a factor in the third quarter, but get themselves in a rhythm here, get things moving. Yes, they've made the mistakes, they've had the turnovers, but it's all about just trying to regroup as a squad here and getting themselves back into this ball game.
Well, it was a pretty brutal start to the season for the Panthers. Losses by a resounding 47-6 at Roosevelt, 65-6 against Norco. And they came in like gangbusters. But King, they had to feel pretty frustrated too because they lost a nail-biter a week ago, and they have come out with a pretty good game plan, especially since the half.
Yeah, not surprised at all from what I'm seeing with King. They definitely showed a lot of light last weekend, and it's really come to life here on this Friday night.
Yep, the Wolves gained 296 yards against this team last year, and they may have way over 296 by the time we're done if they keep this sort of momentum going in the second half. So another short kickoff. This time it bounces in the air, and it's off of the hand of Shackelford of King High School. The Wolves have the football. Shackelford couldn't quite get it, number 32.
I'm a little surprised here for Corona. There was not enough bodies in that area to try to grab that football.
And the player who recovered, it appears, Augie Vega, a senior on the gunning team for the Wolves. Well, King, up 21-6, certainly showed some guts to attempt the onside kick.
Well, you know, the squib kick has been kind of effective for them here in this ball game, and they decided, why not? Let's try something like that one more time, and it's worked in their favor.
Well, it went from a pooch kick on the last couple of tries, that being your onside kick attempt that you see in games, like Sean Payton with a lead in the Super Bowl going for the onside against the Colts. Over-under, I might bring up an NFL reference once or twice more.
Okay. We'll be counting on it.
All right. Jaden Coffer under center inside the 40. King has 2 timeouts left, and now Corona has 2 as the Panthers have stopped the clock with 6:43 to play in the third. 21-6, King has the lead. Let's take a look at the future schedule first for the leading Wolves of King High School. Next week at the Cougars of Norco, April 8th. That's a pretty tough matchup.
That'll be a tough one to get by.
And then home against Santiago. Santiago is 0-2 as well. They've been outscored 57-6. That's their average point differential through 2 games. So, well, King, I'm sure, licking their chops at that one.
Corona will be visiting Santiago next Friday night.
And then Centennial. Sheesh.
Yeah, that's a tough way to wind up the season.
Yep. Huskies have outscored their opponents by 107 points through the first 2 games of the year. Not that rankings mean anything, but Centennial's yet again a top 20 California school.
To no one's surprise.
No one's surprised. Inside run to Hancock. He spins to the 40. The Panthers are lunging here in the third quarter.
Wow.
He is dragged down inside the 20 of Corona. The Panthers' Xavier Hughes saved the touchdown as Hancock stumbles.
20 yards on the play, takes the ball down.
PA man says 20. I think it was more like 22. Nevertheless, another first down pickup for King. But this offense, I mean, something happened in the half.
It's come to life. That's
They're
without
blocking
question.
better, yep. And this was the talking point to Corona before the game. The Panthers and that defensive line a bit ravaged with COVID. Meanwhile, that offensive line for King imposing their will with all sorts of experience up front for the Wolves. They'll go back to the ground with the head of steam. Dustin with this one coming back is upended at the 14. Laundry on the field again for King. And the Wolves, if they want to, this coming fall, win a Big 8 championship, they cannot commit this amount of penalties.
No, not in the least bit. When you're in this type of league with such high-quality teams as they have to confront each and every season, mistakes cannot be on your platform by any means.
I mean, King is certainly testing the knowledge of these officials. We've seen unnecessary late hit. We've seen encroachment. We've seen false start from this team, and now 3 holding penalties. So I'm counting 6 for King. And, I mean, kudos to them for leading by 15 with all the penalties, but I'm sure the coach is saying we could have had a much bigger lead by this point.
Yeah, they're going to have to clean a few things up, especially when they take on their final 2 games here of the season.
21-6, winner of this one earns their first victory of the season. Well, more trickery. Simley on the left side. He is hit at the 30-yard line. What a play. That may have been a face mask. Isaiah Figueroa spills him at the 30 on a run of 4.
If anything, it was really close to being a horse collar type of tackle as well.
Yeah. Elijah Simley, the wide receiver for King.
Well, it is a face mask.
Yeah, face mask. I mean, he just stopped in his tracks so quickly, and you can hear the oohs and ahs from the crowd. So I thought, that might have had something to do with it. Half the distance. I've got a question for you. We haven't seen this tonight. Do you like how the officials do spot foul, or no, not spot foul, half the distance penalties on pass interference? In college, you have spot foul. NFL, you have spot foul. High school, you have a half the distance situation.
You know, it's not a bad thing at the high school level. I don't have too much against that.
Right. Jaden Coffer moves to his right, completes to Elijah Simley in the backfield. He slips through 3 Panthers tackles and dives to the goal line. What a run.
Is he in? He's really close. He's
touchdown. Wow, what a play. 15 yards from Simley, and the Wolves are back on the board.
A very impressive run there by Simley for catching the football and just keeping things moving and just blasting his way into the end zone.
Part of his jersey got torn off on that incredible touchdown run. Even though it's a listed 15-yard touchdown, he ran about 40 yards on the play. From beyond the line, behind the line, to catch that pass as Jaden Coffer was under huge duress. 3 Panthers were there in the backfield. What a play. I mean, if SportsCenter had ESPN cameras all over this game, that could be a top 10 play right there. What a run.
Without question, both. Just the dual play of Neal and Simley have really brought this team to life here in the second half.
Try duplicate that in Madden, folks. That's almost impossible. What a play. And on the other side, the Panthers, you can see it. Hands all over the hips. They are gassed.
Yeah,
that might have had something to do with the missed tackles.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm counting on the Corona sideline. They've got 20 players on the sideline. King has at least double. So the roster disparity in terms of players to one team versus players to the other, well, kudos to Corona. They played as good a football as you could given those circumstances. Our score was 6-0 Corona with under 2 minutes to go in the first half. And King has broken the door open. Kind of like how you finally make a jar, a pickle container, one of those glass containers for pickles. You keep turning it, nothing's moving, and the lid all of a sudden explodes. That's King High School.
That's
Is that a good enough
analogy.
expression?
I've never heard that kind of analogy before.
All right, well.
Let's go to the pickle jar analogy.
All right, I appreciate that. After enough analogies I've had laughed off tonight, I figured eventually I'll hit one. But yeah, this is a total turnaround for King.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you know it took a while. I mean, the first quarter was nowhere near indicative of what we've seen so far in this football game, especially here in the second half.
Nick Rice, J.R. Ibarra, late in the third, 28-6. And we have unloaded the roster for King High School touchdown scores. Jack McPherson began the third quarter. Noah Neal as well found the end zone. What a performance.
Nice
and
kick, too.
Also, I mean, who knew that he had that sort of a leg, all these squib and pooch kicks? And he's also got a 65-yarder in his arsenal, too.
Yeah, you know, he's been kicking so short here for the past few kickoffs. It's like, oh, wait a second, he actually does have a leg to work with, too.
Exactly. And they'll start up at the 20-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Panthers. Christian Butler, not much of a impact player in the second half so far for the Panthers. We'll see if he features more of these receivers in the game, but what has to play into the struggles of this passing game is the first quarter injury to Daniel Alcantar, and early indications he's out for the rest of the game. Butler fakes the handoff and races to his left. Here's the quarterback, one to beat at the 35, and that's the guy who makes the stop. It's a gain of 17 and a Corona first down.
You know, it's really interesting from the offensive scheme here for Corona. They show a spread. It looks like they're ready to throw this football.
Yeah.
But yet they keep it. It's real interesting to see.
It's interesting to see, yeah, the amount of runs out of that formation. Corian Coates, he gave it his all. He's still down number 7 for the Panthers.
Yeah, Coates, as we mentioned, was having a few issues physically coming into this football game, and he's already been down on the turf a couple of times. So
we've seen inspiring performances out of a lot of Huskies players tonight, but even though they're down by 22, my hats off goes to this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He has sprung back already a couple of times in this football game. Hopefully this injury won't set him back any further from continuing in his participation here.
Now, I have no comment as to whether or not the Panthers can come back. I'm not saying that that's not the thing, but by this point, I'd just pull him. I'd say this is it. You know, you don't want to ruin your chances to win in the fall by playing in this game. I mean, by the third time, you got to believe this guy is ignoring all the pain in his body as best he can.
Well, my understanding, I believe Coates so this is his senior year from what I understand.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but he looks like a college guy. He looks like somebody who could play at least JUCO next year.
Oh, well, Coach G has enough confidence in his capabilities that he thinks he's really the premier running back of this league. So
yeah. Now, I'm not familiar with every running back in the Big 8, but you were here last week when King played Roosevelt. Did you like what Roosevelt had of the running back position?
It was decent. I don't know about dominant, but it was decent.
Right. Butler juggles that snap, low snap, and it's a loss of 7. That'll end any good down and distance for the Panthers. Late in the third quarter, Corona got off to a brilliant start in the ball game. But we have seen the overwhelming numbers of King take over in the third quarter. Touchdowns from Jaden Coffer, the long ball to Elijah Simley, who scored late in the first half through the air. Another jet sweep on the ground for Simley. Noah Neal found the end zone, and then we just saw Jack McPherson on the end around. 28-6.
Jordan Reed is the ball carrier.
Yep. Jordan Reed, only his second carry of the ball game. Nolan Reynolds, we talked about him earlier in the ball game. He makes the stop at nose guard for King High School. Both of these teams finished last year 1-9, but from indications of this ball game today where the Wolves almost knocked out Roosevelt last week, they've got a realistic chance to go on a bit of a run here to close the season. I mean, King, this could be a team that really turns it around in the 2021 fall season.
Yeah, as we mentioned, this is really a nice, hard spring practice for these kids.
Handoff. Reed meets Nolan Reynolds in the hole.
Wow.
And he is one of 4 Wolves to bring him down.
Boy, and Reed is
late
really
flag.
Yeah.
Oh, that could have been a huge late hit and a huge mistake on King.
Yeah, there's a little bit of extracurricular activity going on here.
Yeah, you can see Wolves head coach Rich Martinez animated to the sideline. You've got to love the intensity of this man and the energy of his football team, but there comes a point where he's got to really calm down his troops. Unsportsmanlike conduct and a face mask.
Personal foul on both teams. They offset.
So if I'm not mistaken, most other levels you replay the down. Not the case here. 4th and 11 for Corona.
Looks like Coates is back in the football game here. Well,
Nope.
actually he's headed toward the sideline now. Unless he's going to have a word with his offensive coordinator.
From the looks of it, he's not moving very fast and
No.
still is favoring one leg.
Got a little waddle in his step, like
Yep.
he's kind of, injured somewhere.
Well, maybe that's why we aren't football coaches. We said he should be out a long time ago. He has had an inspiring football game today. Maybe they have no choice. And there's only a couple other players on the sideline. Jordan Reed
Well, another timeout here for Corona.
and number 22, Diego Rodriguez. We see him checking into the game, number 22, so maybe he gets a look here. Late in the third quarter, King leads it 28-6.
It does seem like it's getting a little colder, too. It's like, okay.
Let me give you a game update.
Give us a game update.
JR.
Give us a weather report.
Okay. Meteorologist Nick Rice here
There
to
you
tell
go.
you that it has dropped to an absolutely chilly, unbearable 63 degrees here in Riverside, California.
There's a wind chill factor. I know there is.
There has to be. Winds at 7 miles an hour. You can't recruit as a high school head coach. How do you get these players? Shoot. I guess you and I both have the same experience, high school football experience. But how do you get these guys playing like Rich Martinez does? I mean, yeah, some of these late penalties, but I've been impressed because they are so energized out there.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And I think that's been one of the key ingredients here for King is the amount of intensity and enthusiasm they have brought to this contest.
Yeah. Wolves lining up in the punt return, Drake Dustin. I've been a bit surprised. Drake Dustin is a star receiver and cornerback for the Wolves of King High School. But Drake Dustin has rarely touched the football tonight. We'll see if he gets involved later in the game.
So timeout here for King. Interesting, I guess Rich Martinez took a look at the scheme there from Corona, didn't like what he saw, and decided to grab the timeout to talk things over with the troops.
Well, you know what? You use it or you lose it. So I guess you might as well burn these while you can. 28-6. One timeout left for each school, even though I'm sure both coaches, especially King, is believing, you know what, we're not going to need these late in the game. Might as well use them. King is looking so good right now. I mean, we don't know. We haven't yet to see just how good the Sharks of Santiago are. But my early indications, King, this isn't going to be their only win of the COVID-shortened season. They've got a couple more wins potentially in their back sleeve if they can close this one out tonight. Impressive third quarter effort. The Wolves, 28 unanswered. And here's Dustin deep at the 35-yard line. Here's the punt that's nearly blocked and not quite returnable for King.
Takes the Corona bounce.
Yep, out of bounds. So that is a listed punt of 24. Nothing on the return for Dustin. And King late in the third will line up at their own 43, up 28-6.
That's awfully good field position for a team that is kind of rolling here in the second half.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Panthers of Corona, their only win a year ago was at the Silverado Hawks of Victorville, California. 1-9 for both of these schools, and the winner of this game will improve to 1-2. Well, the Panther coach in talking, I'm certainly hoping that this will be a really close football game. Maybe he knew a little bit more than we knew, just how many of his players. He said 8 of his top 10 players from last year are gone for this season due to either COVID or the spring season. This run may be coming back.
Very likely a holding call we're going to see here.
Jack McPherson or Nicholas Bosolo.
Penalty flag on the play.
Are you trotting down penalties? I think King has committed about 10 tonight.
I've actually not kept up on that
Okay, well, you know
side
what?
of the stat sheet.
That might be a little too much. You're already counting both teams. But the Wolves have been on the wrong end of some of these flags. The King is, as we saw, converting a 4th and 24. More than capable of converting these long down and distances. First and 23.
Seems like we've seen that quite a few times here
Yeah.
tonight, these first and
Now,
longs.
usually holding penalties are only a 10-yard loss. I know there's spot fouls, but it seems a little weird to me.
Oh, nice trickery there.
End around. Here's McPherson to the
Oh,
same
man.
side again. One to beat. McPherson to the 40 and is wrestled down with the late flag. It could be on the Panthers. Matthew Jaragwai saves the touchdown. Jack McPherson, 1st and 23, no problem. A gain of over 35.
Flag on the play.
And a face mask. I think the Panthers may be losing a little composure in the secondary. Second face mask we've seen of the quarter against Corona.
Yeah, you know, I think once you start getting frustrated with what's happening, it's easy to make penalties like that.
Yeah. Glad you're with us. Nick Rice, Jerry Barr, late in the third, King up 28-6. Jack McPherson, boy, he has certainly had some game in the third quarter. He is the wing back to the right side. Very rarely do you see a high school team able to execute a triple option formation like they have been. Nicholas Bosolo on a sweep to the right, gallops across the 15. And Ochoa, not Bosolo, Ochoa gallops for a
That was
gain of
close
11
enough.
and a first down.
That was
You know, we're
close.
trying.
You know, we're trying.
Pickup of 11 yards. That's another King high.
Wow. They are really moving the chains here in the second half.
And this is really hard to cover because, I mean, even though they are an absolute run-heavy football team, 2 completed passes in the game for their quarterback, number 15, Jaden Coffer. Because of so many threats running the ball, we have seen 5 ball carriers for this offense tonight. It's hard, even when you know they're going to run it, you don't know where or who's going to run it.
Right, right. They've really mixed it up pretty well.
Triple option again. Dustin in motion.
Whoop.
Ochoa loses the ball. As it seemed there was some miscommunication. Dustin was in the wrong spot. But King recovers.
That is the thing, when you try to do a little bit of that trick schematic there, it's easy to lose the football when you're trying to do like a double handoff.
And that's usually what you see in high school football. The fact that they have executed as well as they have on the triple option. I mean, just think about it. Offensive linemen are pulling in ways usually you don't see high school guys pull. Players in motion, wing back formations. You've got to all line up in the same spot. It's hard to execute. And the King Wolves, I mean, it's textbook. They're putting together a pretty good third quarter performance against this depleted Corona defense. Jet sweep. Dustin with a block. 10, 5. Dustin dives to the pylon.
Touchdown. Well, flag.
A flag launched from the backfield. It's a touchdown. The Wolves have found the end zone 4 times in the ball game just since halftime.
Holding call, going to bring it back.
Well, kudos for King. They don't make it look easy because of all the penalties, but it sure is a running game that's controlling things in the second half. You know, JR, let me look at some of those numbers real quick. I'll crunch it real quick. For those of you counting at home, just in the second half, McPherson has had a 55-yard run, a 32-yard run, 20 for Hancock. A little too many numbers for me to crunch right now. I would say they're flirting with 300 yards right now.
Yeah, they have definitely picked it up here in the second half of play, and the yards have really come their way here in this ball game.
And really the only ball carrier yet to really tote the rock, Jaden Coffer, the quarterback, but has been the orchestrator of this offense. Only 2 completed passes, but has been excellent behind center for King. McPherson motions. It's a design bootleg to the right. He fires into the end zone. Tipped away.
Great defensive
Incomplete.
Aiden Coffer,
Dalen
pass.
Kyles was the intended target for the King Wolves. It appears that Xavier Hughes, number 8, if I'm not mistaken,
Goal from the 16.
was the one who knocked it away. What do you think, JR?
I'm trying to see what's on the roster here. I don't see his number.
You don't see his number. I think it was number 8.
Okay. Yeah, it was number 8.
I got Xavier Hughes. I know he's not there, but you know we're gonna go Xavier Hughes. How about that?
We'll give it to him.
All right. How about that? Okay.
It was a good defensive play. Whoever it was a good defensive play.
Certainly, because Dalen Kyles had a couple of steps on the defense.
He did. He really
Coffer, deep drop on a 3rd and goal from the 16-yard line. He looks right and lobs the pass in the end zone. And Jamari Martin was the intended target.
Pass intended
Oh, man.
falls incomplete.
Vern Lundqvist in the Super Bowl. You've got to be the sickest man in America dropping that touchdown. But you know what? Just to make that pass was pretty impressive. Off platform, rolling right, falling down. What a throw from Coffer. So 4th and goal from the 16, and here comes the field goal group. We've seen it all tonight for King, especially in the 3rd quarter, except
Evan Milstead in
the field goal unit. So Evan Milstead from 32 yards away, 33 yards away, out of the hold from Drake Dustin, will attempt.
He's got a good leg, so this is
Yep.
very nice kick.
Room to spare. He could have hit that from 40.
Yeah. He definitely had a good amount of leg on that one.
You know what? As good as Murphy is as a punter, I mean, this guy's pretty darn good too on special teams. King, don't forget about this 3rd phase of the game. I mean, we already saw a near kickoff return touchdown to begin the half from Hancock, and then this field goal too. Kings really, I mean, it was a slow start. They got crushed 50-0. Believe it or not, as good as this football team is, they were nailed 2 weeks ago 50-0 against Centennial. That's how good the Huskies are. But, I mean, maybe King needed that in the season opener to wake up, and they're looking pretty good right now.
Well, as we previously mentioned, you know, this is such a great springboard for what's going to happen this coming fall. And to be able to develop all facets of this football team has got to make Coach Martinez happy.
Absolutely. Another good one from Milstead, not quite in the end zone. Taken back on a hop at the 9-yard line.
Oh,
and
baby.
here we go. Jet Carr, foot race to the 50. He is
Great.
tripped up by the last defender right around the King 49-yard line.
Nice run back.
Jet Carr.
Now he's on the turf, unfortunately.
King territory.
It's like they're kind of nursing his right ankle.
Deep forward.
Well, we're just getting an update. Glad that you guys are voicing your thoughts in the chat. Dalen Kyles, who I believe was the intended target, that's the guy on the King roster. Well, apparently, according to Noah Cerno, again, thank you all for commenting on Riverside TV. Make sure to join us, Riverside TV on YouTube. Apparently, he goes to Rancho Verde High School now.
Oh, okay.
Well, somebody wearing number 10 now was the intended target in that end zone. So, you know, that's the sort of movement that, and that actually brings up an interesting point. I'm going to bring it up, though, in the 4th quarter, what your thoughts are of today's generation of high school football. The question, it's looming. First, we're going to take a break. End of the 3rd quarter here. King leads the game 31-6. The cliffhanger will be answered to start the 4th quarter when we come back. It's the Wolves over the Panthers with 12 minutes to go. Alongside J.R. Ibarra, I am Nick Rice. High school football and Riverside TV. Back in a moment. Welcome back. Start of the fourth quarter, Riverside TV. Nick Rice, J.R. Ibarra. Panthers go to the ground, moving right to left to start the fourth quarter. And Chase Shackelford, number 32. There's that guy again, Corian Coates. You're going to have to drag him out of the game, kicking and screaming. He is not going to leave a game down 31-6 in the fourth quarter.
No, there's been a couple of those times where you've seen him down on the turf thinking, oh, man, he may not get back into this one, but here he springs back up.
Like, man, is he out for the rest of the season? Is he going to miss fall games next year? He's back in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Isn't that hilarious? So, anyways, my cliffhanger is, okay, technically high school football does not have recruiting. It's a dangerous word in high school.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
It's a pretty treacherous road to trek. Jordan Reed on the pitch.
There's some who might differ with that opinion.
Right. So,
and I know where you're coming from with that,
Right.
because yeah, you can't go out and recruit, but I know in Southern California, and especially in the Inland Empire, the talent level is really quite good.
Mm-hmm. And you got to
and-
get one of those guys.
Yeah.
But the way I was going with it is, it seems like there's more of that than before. Players in high school that are transferring in from other places. I'm not
Right.
suggesting that Corona's Corian Coates, because the coach said, and I believe him, he just come over from Texas,
Right.
and he's thinking, you know what, this school looks pretty cool. Let me ask the coach, do you have a football team? But I mean, what do you think about high school recruiting, and what do you think about players moving more now than ever before, it seems?
Well, look at Coates. He's one taking the wildcat, if you will.
And Coates stays in bounds. Run out by Dustin just across the 40.
Well, it seems to be coming into more of what we're seeing in modern-day high school football.
Right.
Yeah, technically you can't recruit, but yet the shifting in terms of players who decide, I'm going to transfer to another district, transfer to another school. It happens. There's no question it happens at the high school level. I don't know if I have a problem with that, because I understand
Yeah,
these
me
kids, they're trying to get that college scholarship, obviously.
As long as there's no money involved, there's nothing dirty, I'm all for it too. Coates has a brilliant run
Flag on
that
the
is
flag.
going to be coming back.
What a
And
shame.
that is a shame,
What
because
a
Coates
Big shame.
has been hit in the backfield, it seems, almost every play tonight. And that was the battle that we were talking about. That offensive line depleted by COVID and spring season against that dominant defense. He gets a hole, and there's a look at one of the best running backs in this area, Corian Coates.
Boy, best run we have seen all night from Coates, and unfortunately it has to come back due to a holding penalty.
And for those of you who didn't hear us early in the game, his coach in Ron Geringer implored that Corian Coates is the best tailback in this league. The
Yeah.
league with Corona Centennial, Norco, Roosevelt, of course, these King Wolves and Santiago in it.
Well, with a run like that, which we just witnessed, he's got the talent, he's got the speed, he's got the capabilities to make things happen. Unfortunately, he's just not had the opportunity to spring it here in this football game.
If he can run like that, I wonder how fast he could be healthy.
Exactly. He did not come into this game completely 100%.
Jordan Reed has taken Corian Coates' spot in the lineup as the pistol back on a 1st down and 19. 3-step drop for Butler. He is chased by Shackelford, and Shackelford joins Nolan Reynolds on the King sack.
Wow, that is a huge sack.
Well, if there was any doubt who are the best two defensive players on that Wolves unit, I think those questions were answered.
Yeah, Reynolds, who made the stop here for King, he's so highly touted by his coach for playing on both sides of the football. He really looks to his leadership to make things happen.
And, that was a pretty fast move to the quarterback for a defensive end or defensive tackle like a Nolan Reynolds. That is a huge loss. 12 yards in the backfield, and now quickly this Panthers offensive line is getting manhandled right now. Reed on the inside handoff gains about 3. Touchdown from Coates, wiped out by a hold. They give up a huge sack there. Now they do block for a gain of 4 for Reed, but that offensive line, they're just getting overwhelmed right now. We'll see if they can block for Butler, who may have to give it about as hard of a heave as he can to convert a 3rd down and 25 for the Panthers.
He's got the arm to do it. Unfortunately, Alcantar, who went out with an injury earlier on, who was one of his favorite targets, is not in this football game. So that takes away one of the tools out of the toolbox.
Yeah. Panthers have 4 other receivers in the game against the nickel of King.
Oh.
A juggled handoff to Reed, and it looks like King recovered.
Oh, boy.
Yes,
Yep.
Wolves football.
Wow.
Number 53 at the bottom of the pile. If I'm not mistaken, Shimon Gray scoops it up.
Number 53, Shimon Gray.
All right, I got one right. Shimon Gray scoops it up. Late in the first half, under 2 minutes to go. King had a 4th and 24, and if that long Corian touchdown pass is not reeled in by Simley of the Wolves, Panthers most likely go into the half up 6-0.
Yeah.
And they have a chance on offense to maybe even score some more points.
Right, right.
It's amazing how one play like that can change all the momentum of a football game.
Big swing here for the
And now
Wolves.
King, they're just playing, with a pep in their step right now. Jack McPherson, fresh off a huge run on the previous drive. He's one of the 3 wing backs, but instead Nicholas Ochoa. He provides some punishment at running back and barrels his way out of bounds after a gain of 12.
Looks like we got a change in the quarterback position as well.
Chris Cuevas.
Is that number 7?
That's another King high.
Daniel Roach.
Daniel Roach, number 10, junior, 6'4", 180 pounds. And you actually said he was a key player. Did Roach start last week against Roosevelt?
Not at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
He was pretty much utilized as a receiver for most of that game. So I
Interesting.
guess now with this size of a lead, Coach Martinez deciding to give him some reps, which is great.
Right.
It's a great thing for him.
Roach hands to Ochoa. He is spilled up front. Christopher Cuevas, Panther outside linebacker, makes the stop after the gain of 4.
Nicholas Ochoa on
This is another opportunity to give reps to a younger player. He's listed as a junior.
for Cuevas.
Right. Just to get back to our original point, this of the high school recruiting, it is understandable not to get too far down that rabbit hole and upset people. We do say high school recruiting, there is a danger to it because, this is affecting kids. And, a lot of these guys, here's a good run. He cuts all the way back across the field and picks up the 1st down.
That's a new player on the roster here.
Yep, that's another new one, number 23,
Tackle by Matthew Garigui.
Isaiah.
Ball down near the 10-yard
Anyways,
line.
so it is dangerous because if coaches are going into a teenager's home and saying, "Hey, come to my school," this is just a high school education he's looking for at the very essence of this thing. So that's where it's dangerous. We're not trying to encourage all sorts of high school recruiting here.
Well, obviously when you have programs, again, using Corona Centennial as the lead example, when you have it so well established and so dominant over a number of
Yeah.
years, it's easy to attract players to the district.
You don't have to do anything.
You don't have to do anything. There's
Yeah.
no recruiting necessary. It almost becomes self-recruitment just by the reputation you've built as a program.
Yeah. And that's the challenge moving forward for both of these schools. King had a brutal 2019 campaign.
We have somebody down on the turf.
Yeah, somebody down. We'll get a name and number as soon as we can. King had a 1-9 season last year. But even in that brutal one-win campaign, they had a number of close losses. And it would have been easy after their loss 21-18 last week. You talked about King missing some golden opportunities to win the game last week. It would have been very easy for them to feel, this is the same old, same old. We're not going to get the bounces this year. And 7 days later, the Wolves, especially after the way they played in the first half, it seemed penalties, turnovers really hurt the momentum they had. The Wolves have come out in the second half tonight, and what a beating they put on to a team in Corona who indeed does have some issues with COVID and a shortened roster themselves. So impressive for them to hang in, but King really put it all together in the second half.
And you got to give a lot of credit. I guess we don't want to get too personal, but I know when talking to Coach Geringer, also in his family life, he's had issues he's had to deal with the passing of his dad very recently. So I mean the amount of pressure that he's had to face with his own personal life as well as what to do with his squad down here on the field. You got to give Coach G a lot of credit for the amount of effort that he brings to the game here.
And as for Rich Martinez, Coach D, former CIF champion in 2017 with San Gorgonio, but when Rich Martinez, that's a pretty good coach that he's facing on the other side tonight. And for King High School, this guy's got to be pretty good because Coach Martinez is coaching a team with only 6 seniors on the roster, according to him. So
yeah, pretty young squad.
Yeah, for them to play this good. Daniel Roach, a quarterback, is also going to be returning next year. That's pretty encouraging. If I'm not mistaken, Logan Waits, number 4. Are you seeing number 4?
They're covering his number in the back, but I can't see if it's. Yeah, I believe it is a 4. So I guess it is Waits.
Logan Waits. Yet another player for the Panthers, injured in the first half, injured in the second half.
Wow.
That's when you have only a couple of bodies. That seems to be the issue and the dilemma they're going with. Roach. But it is scooped up, and he heads to his left and is in the end zone. Number 14, touchdown.
Wow. Puts it on the turf, grabs it, takes it into the end zone. Oh, we got a flag. I didn't see the flag.
Yep, King had their last drive with a touchdown wiped out by penalty.
Holding call. So
same here.
Skip that one. That's a shame.
Yeah.
That was impressive to see somebody put it on the turf, scoop up their own trash, take it into the end zone.
That's right. Pick up my own laundry. I don't know how he did it in these conditions. So 31-6 King.
Well, I am beginning to lose feeling in my fingers here, so it is getting cool.
Oh, my goodness. They only have so many training staff members to help out people.
I think Jeff Gorham was complaining about the same thing last Friday.
Was he?
Yeah, he was up here and he was chilly. He was really cold.
Yeah, right here in King. But Riverside TV, for folks like Jeff Gorham, they're going to have to deal with it again tomorrow. Ford dives in the end zone.
Man.
Touchdown.
What effort.
Wow, the Panthers' Xavier Hughes could not stop. Ford for the touchdown.
Wow. Impressive run.
He wasn't going to be denied.
No, he was fully intent in getting it to the end zone, and man, he really did it.
So with 4:50 left, by this point, the Panthers have their sights set on next week's ball game at the Sharks of Santiago. That's coming up April the 8th. And meanwhile, King is on the road. A tough matchup against the Cougars of Norco. They are 2-0 this year. Norco has also dominated this league so far, outscoring their opponents by 104 points through 2 games this year. That should be a pretty interesting matchup next week. Riverside TV is back on the air for 1 game tomorrow. I'll join aforementioned Jeff Gorham as Moreno Valley takes on Pauley High School, the Pauley Bears. And then next week we have 3 more football games here in the city of Riverside. Make sure to join us on Riverside TV next week. Ramona plays Hillcrest. Novi is against La Sierra at home, and a neutral site game features Patriot and Arlington. They'll play that game next Saturday at Ramona High School.
Yeah, Riverside TV, we've really tried to squeeze in as much football.
Yeah.
In spite of the fact it's only 5 weeks, we've tried to have at least 2 games per weekend and sometimes 3 games a weekend.
And I'm telling you, in the state of California, I am convinced that there is no better exclusive, behind-the-scenes, and all-out expansive coverage for any city of high school football in the whole state than right here in Riverside. Riverside TV does an incredible job, and there is no exaggeration saying that.
It's been a multi-year award-winning production crew, and we certainly give our kudos to all the camera guys and gals the guys in the truck. It's great to be working along with that great team.
Shackelford nearly recovered his second onside kick. That was really a kickoff, as he was the first one down there. A linebacker outrunning DBs and receivers to the football. Pretty impressive. Recovered, though, by the Panthers. But, yeah, award-winning program. And unfortunately, we didn't know exactly if we were going to cover high school football. And it's amazing for these athletes. Yes, we talk about Panthers losing so many different guys, but I don't know if you're going to keep it to us here in our crew, but I'm speaking in terms of the athletes. It's amazing how many are competing this year when I was convinced there'd be no football season at all.
Yeah, I was totally surprised when we got essentially the call and CAF made the choice of saying, yeah, let's move forward with this, which I think is just great.
Yeah.
You know, out of all the counties in California, I think only 2 counties were not able to play this year.
Really?
Yeah, so out of 58 counties, just 2 were left on the sidelines. So it's great to see that CIF felt enough gumption to say, let's do something. Right. Let's get kids onto the field and try to bring back some normalcy after this long lockdown.
So their decision was to bring in 5 high school football games. CIF would say, you can play your league games. In fact, some schools were able to squeeze in 6. Some had 1 extra week because of their county having restrictions lifted a little bit earlier. With that said, no playoffs for anybody. And do you agree with the decision? Could they have done maybe 3 games and then 2 playoff games?
I think it's kind of tough to do. I mean, you know, having the preseason, if you will, really helps determine what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses for different programs.
Yeah.
To me, it would have been a little difficult to put teams into a playoff situation with only 5 games on their belt. So.
It just stinks that there's going to be no state champion.
Yeah.
There's going to be no playoff winners. Yeah, just the way it goes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I believe, like, for instance, in Texas, they were able to take, you know, themselves into state playoffs. So, you know, they were able to play a full season. We got Laundry on the field again. Delay of game.
Delay a game off of a timeout. All right,
How
these
do you do that?
These officials are not going to let anything go, even with a 38-6 ball game.
They want to cover the gamut tonight.
They sure do.
Let's hit the entire rule book.
Mm-hmm. So make sure to join us, our, as JR mentioned, award-winning program. We're going to go into just all the different ways that Riverside TV covers the city. I guess I'll do it. Not only are they football powers, Riverside TV, we have seen it. Here's another outside run for King. Nicholas Ochoa. For those of you who think, oh, Riverside TV covers exclusively high school football, that's where you're wrong.
Yeah, no, there's so much more that you can find here on Riverside TV. A lot of cultural things, a lot of local events that we cover.
You see Riverside Athletics?
Yes. Unfortunately, we were not able to do community college football with Riverside Community College.
Yeah.
That was
Did RCC have a football season?
No.
No?
There was
Okay, that's what I
nothing at all.
thought.
There
That's
was
what I thought.
nothing at all.
Okay. They are the reigning, RCC are the reigning national champions. But those are in air quotes, state champions. They officially won with their win over City College of San Francisco up in the Bay Area in 2019.
It was an impressive team back in 2019. Boy, I can't believe it's been that long.
We'll be in 2021 in like a matter of minutes. I mean, I'm telling you, the off season, as long as it is, it seems like every start of the football season is like, oh great, we're here. It's going to feel like this year is just going to carry into the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, RCC defends their crown this coming fall if all things go according to plan. McPherson is buried in the backfield. What a play. The Panthers, Jordan Reed, their running back, with the tackle.
Kind of gave him a rodeo tackle there.
Sure did. All right, so 4th down, and just on cue, well, the King Wolves are going to put together another field goal try here. He just made a 33-yarder, And
About the
Evan
same.
Milstead will try a 32-yarder on the opposite hash. Believe it or not, he's only a high school place kicker. Perfect on PATs, nailed a kickoff that went 65 yards in the air. And now Milstead hopes to keep his record perfect. And who knows if he can hear us. We're outside in front of the fans. And I'm told that my voice carries, so he's being told, hey, I'm perfect on field goals tonight.
Nice.
This one's on the way.
Got
and
it.
there's no nerves for this kid. Kick is good from Milstead.
You know, it's not often you see a good kicking game out of a high schooler,
Yeah.
and this has been impressive.
Well, I'm going to see if he is, what grade he's in. Well, he's not on the roster. Of course he's not. All right, well, whatever grade you are, Milstead, if you're a senior or a freshman, pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it's enough to garner some attention from football at the next level, that's for sure.
But I'm told that there's only 6 King high school players on the roster, so most likely he's a junior or a sophomore, which is insane. He has a chance to get even better.
Yeah.
You know, I don't remember what I was doing when I was 16, 17 years old. I wasn't kicking 65 yards on kickoffs.
No,
I
not
was
at
not
all.
doing that. So he has 1 kickoff for a touchback. He is 4 for 4 on PATs. No, 5 for 5 on PATs, and has made a 33 and a 32-yard kick. Both of them have had plenty of room to spare on those field goals. Milstead will kick off with 2:11 to go in the game. King on their way to a win, and their first of the season up 41-6.
Looks like the coaches wanted to talk things over here with the special teams. Not sure what they're going to try here. This could get interesting.
Yeah. We've already seen 1 onside kick recovery by King.
Against the Wolves.
Oh, no, they may have to back it up. Yes, they will. I want to put this out in the forefront. Great performance, excellent effort on all 3 phases. I'm impressed by the coaching of King High School. But they have maybe 20 penalties tonight. I mean, some of
Yeah,
these seem
it's
like penalties maybe they wouldn't commit in a game that's a little closer, but they certainly got to shore up some of the stuff.
yeah, they do have some cleanup work they have to do.
And it's amazing to think King doesn't commit these penalties, and they may win the game by more. Good kickoff out to the 8-yard line.
Very nice.
Returned by Jet Carr, left side of the 40, 45,
Oh,
and he gets
man.
nailed by Hancock of the 49. What a hit.
Wow.
For the Wolves.
Hancock had an illegal hit in the 3rd quarter, and that was the sort of play that I think got him some confidence. He's running around and throwing his body out there. What a hit.
Boy, he really put the wood to him big time.
That's football for you.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a fully legal hit, although
Oh, for sure.
I don't see any flag on the play.
Oh, no. Running clock with under 2 minutes left, 41-6 King. That's the look of a guy that had to wait an extra 5 months to play some football. And
Exactly.
you and
That
me were
pent-up energy needed to come
Yeah.
out.
You and me were talking about it, though, JR. I would have never, ever had a hit like that. I am not that type of guy, that type of rough and tough. I'll run through a brick wall, but some guys just love it. Not us. Not us. No, we want to hide up here in the booth and talk about a hit like that.
Coach going to take the snap here.
And to the delight of, you know what? Here's Coates to the outside. He slips through a tackle and is up into the 42-yard line. You know what? The Panthers may have found a pretty effective formation moving forward.
Tackle by number 20.
You know,
Instead
it's
of handing
some-
off to that guy, why don't you just give him the ball from the start?
Just go wildcat on several different plays and see
Yeah.
what happens. I mean, you're now in experimental mode here.
You might as well.
You know, with this game for sure, and with the remainder of the season, since now they are still winless as
Yeah.
we go to the next level.
King will improve to 1-2. Corona will drop to 0-3. And the Wolves are the best 1-2 team I've seen in Southern California, as they lost a heartbreaker 21-18 to Roosevelt, but they have exacted some revenge on Corona. 7-6. Wolves won the game in a barn burner last year. This go around, it wasn't close.
Once again, Coach is going to take the snap.
Final play of the football game here from King. Coates with a handoff. Jordan Reed escapes through a tackle. And there's a good taste in their mouth going into the Panthers game at the Cougars of Norco next week.
And that'll do it.
King crushes Corona 41-6. Believe it or not, the Panthers had the lead with 2 minutes to go in the second quarter, 6-0. King, a resounding second half, runs away with the football game, 41-6. What a performance today by all players involved, but Jack McPherson, I would say, is the King offensive player of the game, and I'd give the defensive MVP to Nolan Reynolds, number 55.
Absolutely.
He was incredible.
Yeah, just really what we expected out of Reynolds from a defensive play tonight. But impressive way for the Wolves to turn things around during halftime to come up with this really huge win.
Make sure to join Riverside TV tomorrow as we have another high school football game on tap, 7 p.m. kickoff. But for tonight's rivalry league matchup out of the Big Eight, King High School crushes the Panthers of Corona in a game that was anyone's to have at the half. King scores 41 unanswered and demolishes the Panthers by the final score of 41-6. Kudos to the Panthers and head coach, and a good one at that, in Ron Gehringer. He'll hope to rebound next week at the Sharks of Santiago. Final thoughts?
You know, it obviously was not the close game that we were hoping for, but there's still some bright spots for both of these squads to come away with. You know, as we've seen in the last few plays here, maybe you do make the adjustment here for Corona and maybe go to the Wildcat. Also here for the Wolves of King, you know, coming back in the second half here and to be so dominant, you know, that is going to be able to propel them for the next couple of weeks as they wrap up this abbreviated season.
Well, it's an abbreviated season, but it still means the same thing for Corona and King. It's a rivalry matchup, and the Wolves take this one 41-6. Make sure to join us on Riverside TV. I'll join Jeff Gorham on the call tomorrow, 7 p.m. And J.R. Ibarra will bring back his white gloves next week.
I'm hoping it's going to warm up.
Yeah, let's hope so. I'm not entirely sure. It gets pretty cold here at nights. Anyways, Moval and Pauley battle right here at King High School tomorrow. And the kickoff of that game is at 7 p.m. High school football rages on in the city of Riverside. Riverside TV's got the coverage for you. For J.R. Ibarra and Trevor and Brad and the rest of our excellent broadcast crew, I am Nick Grice. So long for now on Riverside TV. King was the ball game tonight, 41-6.